crimes be deported immediately. Before he was even elected, President Trump had announced that he would do everything in his power to crack down on illegals flooding our country. Despite opposition from the Dems, Trump is holding true to his word. The left often insists that illegals should be welcome here. The obvious question here is why? They are not good for small communities or our country as a whole. Consider this fact alone: people who are here legally have been convicted up to a staggering 75% for committing federal crimes, according to PolitiFact. You first have to take into consideration that just by crossing the border, they are committing a crime. These people have no right to be here. We have a completely legal process to enter this country, and if they can't follow the simple entry rules, they do not deserve to be here. They should be barred from entering legally after they get caught trying to sneak in. There is already a clear sign that they show no regard for our laws or ways of life. If they can't follow rule number 1, what makes you think they are going to turn into law-abiding citizens? Due to the high number of terrorist attacks occurring around the world, we should be very concerned about illegals entering the country. If you recall, England had upwards of 4 massive terror attacks just over a month ago. They are still reeling and living in a state of fear, wondering when the next attack is going to happen. Many people died as a result of these terrorists. Children at an Ariana Grande concert lost their lives when a man in a suicide vest decided to lose his mind one day. On top of that, there were random attacks with vehicles, stabbings, and more. It is pure insanity, all because of lax immigration laws. Do we want to have to worry about stuff like that happening here? Of course, not. We don't want to think about the possibility of terror attacks on a near-daily basis. Luckily, President Trump is doing everything in his power to make sure that our country is safe and secure, even if the Democrats can't stop whining long enough to see that we are trying to save their lives. The left is going to continue to fight to keep illegals here at any cost. It is disgusting that they don't see the risk to their friends and families by allowing people to flock here unvetted. How do they not understand the burden of allowing millions of extra people here every year? Do Democrats honestly believe that we can sustain an unlimited amount of people? They must think that way. Otherwise, they wouldn't encourage everyone to come here. We wonder if the Dems have considered from where all of the necessary money would come to facilitate those millions. How would we pay for subsidized housing, food stamps, monthly checks, and more for their illegal immigrants that speak no English and have no work skills? Do you think they are going to pay for these people out of their own pocket? Yeah, right. Do you think illegals need to be kicked out of the country right away? Share this story on Facebook and let us know because we want to hear your Breaking: here's what happens when George Soros refuses to pay protesters. The anti-Trump protests have been strong since the day he won the presidency. We have witnessed some massive protests, and they're all funded by George Soros. What happens when Soros decides he isn't going to support a protest? Well, look no further than Atlanta when an impeach Trump protest took place. Fox 5 Atlanta reported that there were a staggering dozen people at the protest. Wow. It looks like a couple of people missed the memo on this one. The purpose of the protest was for snowflakes to express that President Trump needs to be impeached. They can't tell you why he needs to be impeached, or even how the impeachment process works. But they want it done, darn it. What a joke. Refuse Fascism Atlanta made the bold claim that their rally is part of the chain of major national protests, yet they don't even have enough people to have a 5v5 basketball game with 2 coaches and a referee. Talk about insignificant. It is kinda funny that they don't understand how impeachment works. They keep screaming that Trump needs to go, but don't seem to realize what would happen if they did kick him out. Pence would become the president. While they are demanding Trump's impeachment, they are also saying we will not accept the cruel and brutal future of the Trump-Pence regime. They must go. Is someone going to tell them? Impeachment isn't a topher. They said that their goal was to march down the Beltline in Atlanta to affect people, to shock people, to move people into action. The only thing they managed to move was people into a state of laughter and amusement. We always knew that the people behind these anti-Trump campaigns were petty, but this takes the cake. They honestly believe that Trump is a fascist, despite people in their organization across the country violently assaulting people for their political beliefs. Someone needs to sit these Antifa kids down and explain to them the definition of irony. You cannot claim the president is evil and wants to stomp out everyone who doesn't think like him, while Antifa members shove and kick people on the ground for supporting a candidate that the group despises. It is mind-numbingly idiotic that they pretend to know what they are talking about during these little rallies. These are the same kinds of people who believe that health care is a right, not a privilege. In fact, it is so much a right, that they can force doctors against their will to care for sick people because everyone deserves health care. There we go with the fascist behavior again. Hopefully, this tiny protest is a sample of things to come. People need to realize that President Trump is here to stay. He has done nothing that would warrant impeachment, and to say otherwise is pure ignorance. Make your voice heard and let's put these simple-minded protesters in their place once and for all. Do you think that the protest movement is finally dying down? Share this story on Facebook and let us know because we want to hear your voice. Breaking death linked to Clinton shakes Democrat Party. Hillary Clinton has earned herself the nickname Kerry, due to the astonishing number of individuals who have died suspiciously after coming into contact with her. Well, it looks like there is another person we can tack onto that list. The Miami Herald reports that Klaus Aberwine, a former Haitian government official, was found dead in his hotel from what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The most damning thing about his death is that he was set to soon testify against the Clinton Foundation in regards to the way the funds raised for Haiti were handled by the fraud-filled organization. Aberwine was found dead on July 11, and his cause of death was instantly ruled as a suicide. However, the former government official has said, on multiple occasions, that he believes the Clinton Foundation is nothing more than a bunch of criminals. There are even records of him telling his friends and family that he feared for his life, due to the way that he called out Hillary Clinton and the money-gathering machine that is the Clinton Foundation. WorldNet Daily reports that his testimony was scheduled for next Tuesday. Aberwine was scheduled to speak to the Haitian Senate Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission about how the Clinton Foundation misappropriated Haiti earthquake relief funds, particularly from international donors. His feelings about the organization were clear. He once shouted, "The Clinton Foundation, they are criminals, they are thieves, they are liars, they are a disgrace," while protesting outside of the building where the foundation is based in New York City. Had he been allowed to live long enough to testify, this is the mind-blowing figure that would have blown the foundation out of the water. Only 0.6% of the billions raised by the foundation went to help with relief efforts. In typical fashion, the Clintons were pocketing the money and distributing the rest how they saw fit. It is disturbing, for sure, but not as disturbing as setting up murder plots to stop people from catching on to your scam. There is something sinister brewing in the Clinton Foundation. Hillary has been allowed to get away with this kind of behavior for years. There are too many people related to her that are now dead. This cannot be mere coincidence. We need to start following the threads here. Before Aberwine, Seth Rich was the last person suspected of being murdered by Hillary, likely someone she paid to do it and keep her hands clean. If we keep looking and digging, the truth will come out. Once that day comes, and Hillary is behind bars, she will never see the light of day again. Do you think that Hillary had something to do with the suspicious death of Aberwine? Share this story on Facebook and let us know your thoughts because we want to hear your voice. Breaking Obama named in federal lawsuit for murders he caused. A federal class action lawsuit has been filed against former President Barack Obama, and others involved in a spate of murders. Obama may finally pay for his hand in the race riots that caused the murder of 5 Dallas police officers. Also named in the suit is former U.S. Attorney General, Eric Holder, as well as the founders of Black Lives Matter, the Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan, and Al Sharpton, via the Daily Caller. The total damages sought in the suit equal more than $2 billion. Obama, along with the other defendants, is accused of having violated the civil rights of law enforcement officers. The other crimes that the defendants are accused of include terrorist promotion of gang activity, and aiding and abetting murder. Consider how you'd feel if you were accused of such crimes. Being innocent, you would want to speak against them, right? It's telling that each of the defendants has refused to comment on the suit. Deep down, I suspect each of them knows they've created a culture that has led to the death of our police officers, and one of a less effective police presence for everyone else. Instead of acknowledging this, each prefers to blame the police and white people, both, for their crimes, and for every crime a black person has committed. If they really cared, they would be looking for solutions for crime-ridden inner cities, not laying blame. The former federal prosecutor that brought this suit has commented, "The defendants have publicly incited people to violence with the fiction that police officers and other law enforcement are intentionally and systematically targeting and hunting blacks and other minorities to kill them for no reason other than racism or sport." Micah Johnson, the man who pulled the trigger on the 5 Dallas police officers, had admitted Black Lives Matter factored into his motivation to commit these murders. Considering what nonsense the defendants have put in Johnson's head, his reasoning is clear. The founders of Black Lives Matter once encouraged people, on the radio, to turn the tide and kill white people and cops to send a message. Farrakhan has made equally incendiary calls for violence and murder. Holder, Sharpton, and Obama didn't step back from these statements to try to de-escalate the situation. Instead, they showed support for the Black Lives Matter perspective by having meetings with their leaders. By doing so, they endangered the lives of police officers everywhere. They gave mentally unstable people and radical liberals the feeling that their perspective was correct and that violent action was justified. In my opinion, $2 billion doesn't cut it. I want to see each of these defendants rot in jail for what they did. What do you think of this lawsuit and what result do you want it to have? Share this story on Facebook and let us know because we want to hear your voice. Alert: John Kerry busted embezzling tax dollars for this sick purpose. How is it possible that the deep state secretaries of state, Hillary Clinton and her successor John Kerry, are still getting away with this kind of crime? More than $9 million of our taxpayers' dollars were moved through the State Department and into a nonprofit foundation headed by Vanessa Kerry. That's John Kerry's daughter, via the Daily Caller. First, this enormous sum was given in the Peace Corps. They awarded the money to Vanessa Kerry's nonprofit, Seed Global Health, as a 3-year contract. There was no competition for this contract, and Kerry's nonprofit was created with the program in mind. She obviously knew she was guaranteed the money. This type of corruption runs so deep in our government and the State Department in particular that no one even bothered to pretend there was a competition for the money. Instead of bothering to seem unbiased, the Peace Corps went ahead and awarded Seed Global Health a second contract after the first was up. It was a 4-year contract this time, worth $6.4 million of the State Department funds. This is just one way that the deep state takes our tax dollars and lines its own pockets. Yes, the group did some actual charity work with this money, but Vanessa Kerry still drew a salary from her nonprofit. In fact, when she was paid her first salary in 2014, she was the only officer who received compensation. We have learned this from the nonprofit's 990 tax form. She supposedly worked 30 hours per week and made $140,000. John Kerry has apparently learned something from his predecessor, Hillary Clinton. Somehow, the children of these politicians think they deserve to make a great living off our tax money. No longer do you secure a job for yourself when you become Secretary of State, evidently, you secure jobs for your children, too. The Clintons were greedier about it. They put more money in their pockets and in Chelsea Clinton's wedding dress, apparently, than the Kerry family stole. But make no mistake about it, awarding your children government contracts without competition is nepotism. It's stealing. Don't let the fact this was a charity soften your hearts either. Competition exists to make sure whoever gets our money makes the best of it. I'm sure there are more efficient, experienced, or innovative nonprofits that could have made our money go further. What do you think needs to be done to Kerry and the Clintons for their unethical behavior? Please share this story on Facebook and tell us because we want to hear your voice.